3 mega MLSs have settled their pocket listing suit. Let's read what that means. We have here the article courtesy of Inman. Mega MLSs, but not NAR. We'll talk about why that is here shortly. Settled the pocket listing suit that they have been going through. So you have CRMLS, MRED MLS, and MRED are the 3 MLSs that really we're talking about thousands upon thousands of agents that are in these MLSs or are using these MLSs. 3 of the nation's largest multiple listing services have reached a settlement in a years-long pocket listing lawsuit. We'll detail it here shortly what that means, though the National Association of Realtors remains a defendant in the case. So we have these 3 MLSs right here, CRMLS, Bright, and MRED. They have said, hey, let's not go to trial. Let's settle this right here and right now. So they've come to terms, and they did a filing just to extend or have a stay, I believe. So requested the court stay all deadlines pertaining to settling the defendant. So there's essentially in this filing it says, hey, hold on, we have this figured out. Just give us a little bit of time. And the judge said, okay, perfect, we'll do that. So they have reached an agreement with the right here on Wednesday, so yesterday, attorneys for defendants California Regional MLS, so CRMLS, Bright MLS, and Midwest Real Estate Data, and plaintiff the thepls.com, so it's one of those direct listings, informed the U.S. District Court of the Central District of California's Western Division that they have reached a settlement in principle of all claims between them, meaning they have agreed on key terms of a deal. So they have essentially avoided avoided going to trial. They didn't avoid the lawsuit. This is the lawsuit. But now they're saying, hey, we have a deal in principle. We're good to go. So stop suing me, bro. All right, so this gives us back what happened about 4 years ago. The PLS, formerly a private listing network for real estate agents, filed a federal antitrust lawsuit against NAR and the way that they handled the pocket listing. So here's what they were saying. The suit alleged the defendants, again, NAR and the MLSs in question, had violated the federal Sherman Antitrust Act and the California's Cartwright Act for adopting the Clear Cooperation Policy. I know it's a lot, but here's what essentially we're getting down to, which requires listing brokers to submit a listing to the MLS within one business day of marketing a property to the public. Office exclusives or listings marked entirely within a brokerage without submitting them to the MLS are exempt from the policy. Some real estate brokers have threatened mutiny over the office exclusives except for the Clear Cooperation Policy, which they argue inadvertently benefits large national brokerages at the expense of smaller independent brokerages. So you can market a listing. Here's what, I guess instead of explaining it, we can just read exactly what this means. The controversial rule is meant to effectively end the growing practice of publicizing listings for days or weeks without making them universally available to other agents, in part to address the fair housing concerns. So essentially what this means, that you can put a property onto the MLS and you can market it just within the office. And what they're saying is that, hey, when you're doing that, you're taking days, you're taking into weeks, and here they're raising the fair housing concerns, but essentially it's, hey, we want access to it. So you would, as you can imagine, if you have a brokerage of 100,000 agents, well, you can market it to those 100,000 agents. They have a leg up versus a listing that might not be available to the public. So a coming soon, that's why whenever you upload a listing, and you put it on a coming soon, you have to make it active within a few, I believe it's 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken, but you have to make it public. You can't leave it there forever because, again, you have to make it to where it's accessible to everybody. So here, essentially, the reason that they brought the lawsuit was that you're having all of these listings be in this perpetual coming soon type of a deal where you're marketing just to your internal office, and you're not allowing us to essentially compete. The PLS's case, so those are the folks that sued, was initially tossed out in the lower court, so it wasn't seen with merit during the lower court, but there was an appeal, but the decision was overruled on appeal and returned to the lower district court. NAR is fighting a similar pocket listing case brought by Top Agent Network. So these are all these direct listing services where you could go up there and list it without necessarily being a member of the National Association of Realtors. So these are networks that are saying, "Hey NAR, you're what you're doing right now is unfair practice by the Sherman Act, or whatever it's called, the Sherman Antitrust Act." And apparently this, I don't know about this particular, there's a California Act, so I don't necessarily know about it, but you're violating its unfair competition and all that fun stuff. So three major MLSs have already settled. They're done. They've tapped out. The legal fees just continue to mount, and they wanted no part of it at that point. So it's do I expect NAR to settle? That's a good question. I think NAR has some other issues that it needs to take care of at the moment, and I do think that this particular case, it kind of bleeds over to the commission and the commission aspect and the cooperation policy that's in place. So I don't think that they're going to settle. I think they're just going to, continue to battle all of these legal fights because they all kind of bleed in together. So I think if they made a movement here, then they would be admitting some sort of, I don't want to say some sort of wrong, but in a way, some sort of wrong to where it could be leveraged against NAR in these major lawsuits, these other major lawsuits, where if they're settling here, they're admitting some sort of wrong, if you will. So I don't expect them to settle, but who knows? Who knows? NAR's pockets are not infinite, because how does NAR get funded? Well, it's us, real estate agents like you. We are funding NAR. So with all of the lawsuits that are happening, there's legal, obviously, ramifications. Less agents in the industry. Now there's competition. We actually covered this in I think it's called the American Real Estate Association. Just got launched by Mauricio and I believe his other guy, Mauricio Renowski and I believe Ryan. I forgot the other guy's name, but NAR is let's face it, NAR is on the decline. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to settle because of the other implications. But it's going to be interesting to follow this. If anything changes in this particular lawsuit, I'll let you know. But until then, if anything comes up, I'll be keeping you updated.